Hello everybody, my name is Spoons Rattling, and of course today we just got the official sort of announcement for Combat Patrol, the magazine releasing in the United States. This is a long-term sort of subscription service, which I'm sure many of us have never subscribed to a magazine, even though that we're all adults, because who subscribes to magazines anymore? But regardless, this one is one that actually interests us for one main reason. It includes a bunch of plastic miniatures. So let's get into it. So Combat Patrol is a long-term process of about 20 months, if I'm not mistaken, but you do get 9 complete combat patrols with an extra unit in each, alongside about 30 pots of paint and 4 brushes. These combat patrols are all of their 9th edition variants, and many of them are out of print. There are 2 pricing levels. There is Standard and Premium. Both start at $6.99 for issues 1 and 2, as they come together. Effectively, you pay for issue 1 and you get issue 2. And then they come in batches of 4, depending on your retailer. You may be able to take a different plan, but that's the general way from Hatchet Works, I believe is the name. They come in packs of 4 every month for $15 per issue at standard, so $60 plus 8 or so for shipping. Premium costs $18 per issue. There's 90 issues, and since you have to subtract 1 and 2, as they are a different price and effectively are the starter issues, if you will, there's 88 issues at the full price. So, roughly, this is $1,500 over a 22-month period, and $1,800 for premium, which includes 8 extra kits. Of course, the main thing when it comes to something like this is denoting how much the discount actually is. So, the discount is rather long and tenuous. The main thing to keep in mind, though, is that since a lot of these combat patrols are out of print, finding consistent prices for them secondhand is not easy. If you can, though, that does make the discount less appealing because, of course, you'd be finding a very good value already. However, since most of these combat patrols are out of production, I'm using their sort of standard market price for the kits, which makes the discount very good. It already is quite good, but just makes it better. Of course, there is the Tyranids, Space Marines, World Eaters, Chaos Space Marines, genestealer cults, eldar, leagues of votann, imperial guard, and orks. I won't be covering absolutely everything. I did want to note that the Tyranids and Space Marines could be acquired for cheaper through getting the Ultimate Starter set, but again, I digress. You do get a couple extra models, which I didn't include in the final write-up through subscribing through Hatchet Works through their pre-order program. You do get a company champion, and there is a special Infernus Sergeant, which I priced at about $10, $6 to $10. It's a single squad miniature. The company champion, though, easily is a lieutenant class model, so I think that's a fair price. The rest of these, though, if you wish to pause and read, I've listed all of their individual prices here. This is to get everything that will be included, and as I mentioned, all of these combat patrols come with an extra unit. I read that there is going to be a data sheet for them. I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be an either-or kind of deal, like the Custodes Combat Patrol does, or if it's just going to be an addition to a combat patrol that already exists, as obviously these are all based on pre-existing combat patrols. In total, if you wanted to buy all of these kits, buying the combat patrols were available, it comes out to $2,487, which is, pretty expensive, and that's just the minis alone. Once you add in the paints, since you do get quite a lot of paints, I took an average price instead of seeing which every paint was, because there's 30 of them, and they cover metallics, bases, shades, which all have different prices, but I decided to just call them all $6, as that's the average price for a paint pot. Along with the brushes and everything, adds on at about $200. And again, I ignored the gifts like the Hatchet Company exclusive Primaris Champion. So at standard, you get roughly 44% off, which is very good, of course, or 33% discount for the premium plans. That is, of course, ignoring the bonuses, which we'll cover in a moment. This is, of course, one of the better deals you can get in 40k in general. Even the best of combat patrols or start collectings were generally hovering around 40%, so getting your combat patrols for much cheaper, of course, is very good. Now let's move on to that mentioned premium versus standard. So the thing with premium versus standard that you do want to keep in mind is it increases the price of every issue by $3, and in exchange you get 4 premium kits, as they're called, in roughly quarterly stints. It's at the 15th issue, or I believe it will be your 5th delivery, then at the 37th issue, the 59th issue, and then the 81st issue. The first one is very good, and all of these are rather good. The first premium kit includes a Brutalis and a Hive Tyrant, which are, of course, both... the Brutalis is a very expensive walker, and the Hive Tyrant isn't exactly dirt cheap either, so that's very good, and you get them pretty early in your subscription. And your 10th delivery gets you a set of Howling Banshees, a very nice kit, though not necessarily the bulkiest, but that is made up for the fact that you get the new Demon Prince, which is, of course, a very notoriously expensive kit, so getting him for cheap is very good. And then the next gets you a set of Brokir Thunderkin, a very cool model, some of my favorite from the Leagues of Votann, and a set of Killicans. Also some of my favorites from the Orks. And the final big reward is, unsurprisingly, the biggest of them all, the Rogaldorn Battle Tank and a Brood Coven set. So the Rogaldorn is, of course, an enormous tank that is very expensive, and the Brood Coven is pretty pricey too, given it's a bundle of characters. This does math out to $586 of extra models, excluding tax. And since this adds $300 onto your cost, effectively, give or take a few dollars, this is a discount of almost 50%, which is, of course, insane, but you do have to keep in mind that just because you can get something for cheap doesn't necessarily mean you need to get it. If you don't have a use for these units, then I wouldn't go for premium. I love all these units, and they're for factions I play, or rather, most of them are for factions I play, excluding the Brood Coven, but I like those models a lot, and I could use them for converting and things like that. So I'm going for premium myself, because I love all these kits, especially the Demon Prince and the Dreadnought. They're very good, and so is the Rogaldorn. Overall, I'd say it's totally valid if you want to go premium or if you want to go standard. It's just up to personal preference, which is exactly how it should be. We do want to move on now to, is it worth it? So, raw numbers-wise, it is, of course. It's a very good deal on, very good, very modern kits. There's no kit in here that's, hugely archaic or anything. They're all very new, very modern kits, very big, I'll say the general structure, I didn't list out, as we only have about 40 of the issues known exactly what's included. The general structure is it takes 3 shipments to complete your combat patrol, and then in the next shipment, so it takes 3 shipments to complete the core combat patrol, and then after you complete the next combat patrol, both those combat patrols get their auxiliary unit in the following shipment. For example, it goes Eldar, then Chaos Space Marines, and then the shipment after that includes the Chaos Terminators and the Wraith Guard for the Eldar, which are their extra units. But here's the thing, you can single out specific issues, which could be very good, because, if you get a Wraith Lord, for example, for $15, then that's exceptional. Or if you get a squad of Chaos Terminators for $15, exceptional. You will have to be sharp-eyed and very attentive to find when these things go live, whether it's on, I think it's like Forbidden Planet sells them as individual copies. Certain stores do in general. You can find them online. And you can get a lot of value. Of course, if you want to go the whole hog, I would generally only do that if you like almost all, if not all, the combat patrols. Me personally, I play Imperial Guard, I play Chaos Space Marines, I have a decent collection of Tyranids, Eldar, Imperial Guard, who I've been leaning into very heavily recently. Leagues of Votann, I have their launch box, I have a huge collection of Orks. I wanted to get Khorne Berserkers for my Chaos Space Marines anyways, and I like the other models included there. And the Genestealer Colts are not only really cool models, I can use them for Necromunda and things like that, which is just very useful. I love their models, so I have a use, and I like all of the models included. Though if you only say, like, Imperial Guard, Orks, and Leagues of Votann, then there's not that much value because you're not going to get the most out of it. But if you do keep up with the release schedule, you could definitely still poach some of the value from this just by snagging an issue or two here. But you do have to keep in mind, of course, when you do fully subscribe to it, you can cancel any time, by the way. If you just want to get the Space Marines, Tyranids, Eldar, and Chaos Space Marines, you could subscribe for that period and then just cancel your subscription and you're done. Those are the first 4 combat patrols you get, by the way. I've read through the first 40 issues. So you could do that route. However, I don't. I'm going to go the whole way through. I'll probably do a video unboxing it every month. But you have to keep in mind that you are getting it in chunks, which I think is actually preferable, mainly to help stem the gray tide, because you won't be, of course, just constantly, instead of having to get all 30 models, whatever it may be, together and painted, you get, you get your Guardians and your Farseer first, you paint them up, then you get your Wraithlord and your Bikers, and then you paint those up. It's a much healthier way of progressing, honestly. And while, $60, $65, or $68 a month is certainly not cheap, obviously, don't just go willy-nilly spending it, it's probably not any more and probably less than what a lot of people do spend on 40K every month. So if you still want to get variety and keep growing your collection in a healthy and sustainable way, I'd say that this is a great investment, and that's why I'm going with it personally. I've nearly painted all the models in my collection, and I'm getting back to the point where I'm comfortable buying new models. Anyways, I've been Spoons Rattling. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to let me know what you thought down below. Are you going to get this? Are you going to subscribe? Are you just going to pick up an issue or two here? Am I stupid? Anyways, bye-bye.